Alright, so I just finished watching Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and I'm going to give you, as honest as I can, a review. There are going to be spoilers in this, so if you guys don't want spoilers, please leave. All I can say is it was a decent movie, but they dropped the ball in a lot of areas. Alright, spoiler people who don't want spoilers, leave. So, for the rest of us who've watched this, I'm a little bit disappointed. Now, don't get me wrong, when I went in to watch the movie, I enjoyed it. It was good entertainment, had some laughs. I love the quantum world. I mean, everything about it, especially when it comes to the aesthetics, I liked, except for the last half of the movie or near the end of the movie. The other thing I want to say is, if anyone's here is watching and by now you don't know that you probably should have watched the Loki Disney series before you watch this, there you go. That's one thing I want to complain about, because I think it's really awkward and greedy what Disney is doing with forcing people to watch or subscribe to Disney Plus in order to watch the shows, and now the shows are directly tying into the MCU. I think that's a very sleazy way of trying to get more money out of people, requiring them to do that. I think the movies and the TV shows should have their own standalone things. And even if you want to kind of cross them over, you shouldn't be required to watch the TV series or the streaming series in order for you to get the next movie they're coming out with. I think that is very, you go into the slippery slope kind of area with that. They did that with freaking Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, and a lot of people were confused because they didn't even know that there was a show. Anyway, I like that we have this whole other world that everyone didn't know about, which was the quantum world and whatnot. Janet, Hope's mother, was living here, and I like that we get to see a little bit of her life and what she went through. The entire movie, for the entirety of the movie, they are playing up this big baddie villain, this immutable force that everyone is absolutely terrified of. And we know, after having watched the Loki series, that's Kang the Conqueror and hearing whispers on the wind and whatnot. Anybody else who had not watched a show or didn't previously know who Kang the Conqueror was, you'd be like, whoa, whatever it is must be really, really bad, possibly even worse than Thanos. So we get this villain and we see what he can do. First of all, let me say, the guy who plays Kang, excellent job. Him and Christian Bale, I mean, okay, Christian Bale is like another league of actor, but the guy who played Kang absolutely killed it. I loved him as a villain. And let me tell you, this movie did a huge disservice to him, because what we basically got was the introduction of this villain and him saying how he's out of their league and you don't know what you're up against, and he's killed many Avengers, he's Kang the Conqueror, he has killed many worlds. Janet introduced him as a being that has just taken down civilization after civilization, but not just civilization, whole world. He's called Kang the Conqueror for a reason. Now, I didn't read the comics. Most people, I imagine, who are watching the movie now didn't. I think the comics are probably from like my father's time or something, I'm not sure. But if this is what happened in the comics as well, what took place in this movie, it's pretty stupid, because they played up this guy. And he goes into saying, like, he actually has some kind of motivation, which is good because you want the villains to not just feel like paper villains. You want them to be evil, and there's a reason why he's evil, because there always is a reason. I understand that. And while I started to get tired of the whole, we must feel sorry for the villains, I do like the way they handle Kang initially, because he was basically saying, there is a much more malevolent evil than I that is coming. And the reason why he's doing all of this, at least now, the actions that he is performing, is to prevent that from happening, whether it be for himself or not. What is clear is that it would behoove everyone to help him, because there is something worse than him that is coming that he also has stakes in. So now we're like, oh wow. So he is willing to go to great lengths to avoid certain things happening. And we see that. And then when Paul Rudd, Scott Lang, and his daughter, cute seeing them together, but when he and his daughter are in prison, and Kang does this thing with his fingers where he starts crushing them. I don't know, it's like he's shrinking them or crushing them or something without even touching them. And you're like, ooh, he's not showing his full power like an anime. I'm not even at my full power. And it lets you know that there are stakes involved. I like that. I like not knowing what was going to happen next, and I like the fact that this character, who everyone thinks they can beat, is unbeatable. So he's like, I need this, which is weird, because why would he need Scott? Like, I don't know, just he was exiled by the other Kangs, and they come up with this thing as to why that happened. Sure, why not? Let's just say he needs the Pym particles to fix his ship. Janet saw what he was capable of doing and what he has done, and she stopped him from doing that. But now he has Scott, and he tells Scott that I'm gonna kill your daughter if you don't get this. And when you see this guy who's playing Kang act, you believe every word he is saying. He says, do I look like the kind of person that would lie to you? You know, just like he has those villain vibes. He does a really good job. And what's scary about him is that he looks human. He looks believable. He looks like a regular person that can do a lot of damage. I don't know. I like the way that, I think he plays a villain way better than he plays a hero. And I believed him. I believed him. He was very intimidating. So they go ahead and they get the core. They go through all of that. And then Janet comes and she's like, don't give that to him. You don't know what he's capable of. And even though the reason for Scott even doing this is because his daughter was in danger, he conveniently forgets that and decides, oh, I'm not going to give it to you. And you broke your word and whatever. And then they start to fight him. And that little magic trick that he did before where he just could wave his finger and start crushing people's bones into dust, all of a sudden, he just forgets he has that ability and never does it again. What? You conquered worlds. You obliterated worlds. We saw in Janet's vision, or through what she said, that this guy basically burned freaking worlds to the ground. Planets just completely decimated. And it's hard for you to fight these people. I'm pretty sure the other worlds that he defeated probably had type 2 civilizations, or they had intelligent beings as well, not just the quantum realm. He has that power within himself. We see him using it, but only when it's applicable to use, in terms of the plot needs to be thickened first before he can use it so that it doesn't really affect. And the power that he had before just disappears. The whole last part of the movie with them trying to defeat Kang just made Kang look like some person who thinks he's a villain, but he's not really a villain. And then it begged the question, why are we afraid of him again? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so annoying. I don't know if it's just a Marvel thing or movies in general nowadays. Where are the stakes? So anyway, then they go through the portal, they open up the portal, and they think they're gonna defeat him. And then the other thing is stupid. I'm sorry I'm being so scatterbrained. I'm just remembering things as I'm telling this review, but Janet is there, and there's several times where she's broken away, or people have broken away and started beating the bubblehead soldiers that are very incompetent. And nobody thinks to tie her up. Nobody thinks to tie her hands after the first few times of that happening to them. Why is she walking around freely? Why does she not have, do they not have handcuffs in the quantum realm? Do they not tie things up? Like, why does she need her hands? I don't understand. That part was so annoying to me. People kept on getting away. The daughter, the same thing kept happening with her. And it's like, I'm gonna do this now. Why don't you have a way? Wouldn't Kang know, with them having the ability to shrink and get large, which, by the way, something that they only use when convenient, or not, because they just forget that they have that power half the time. Like, half the stuff that happens didn't even need to happen because they could have become big and crushed everything at a moment's notice. It was so stupid. It's like they forget that they have the power until they're like, oh yeah, I can use this, or they just forget altogether and they never do. So that happens. But then Kang, at the end, they figure out some other way to beat him and blah, blah, blah. And the part with the original Ant-Man guy coming in with the ants backstory was actually pretty cool. I wanted to see more of that. And him just walking as the ant army was coming behind him was cool. That was badass. I was like, okay, Henry, Pym, whatever your name is. That was kind of freaking cool. So the ants all tear Kang apart, like, what a way to go. But he's still alive. But he can be beaten. And it's just, why did they even? Anyway, they go through the portal and Scott stays back because they don't want him getting out. Because if he gets out of the quantum realm, now he's free to just decimate timelines like he was doing before. The quantum realm is supposed to be out of space and time, apparently, but yet they still refer to time, and I don't really understand. I'm stupid when it comes to that, I'll admit. But when Scott was getting beat up, me and my husband actually thought when we were watching it, like, oh my God. My husband kept saying, yeah, he's gonna die. Emma's gonna die. There's gotta be stakes. And the way that they were playing it up made it seem as though that was gonna happen. And when Kang gives him the look like, you should have gone with your family, and he's beating up Scott, you're like, ooh, shit. Oh no, is he gonna kill Scott? Oh, but no, it's all fine, guys. Because he's like, we're not leaving together, and he stays, and then this wife comes back through, which was very sweet because she's not gonna leave her husband, boyfriend, whatever, and then she fights with him, and then all of a sudden he's defeated, and he doesn't use the power that he had before. I mean, my brain is hurting just trying to explain all of it. Like, I'm doing a horrible job, and I apologize, but I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Then Scott lives, and I think, you know what? Maybe this is a good opportunity for him to get stuck in the quantum world with her, you know, his girlfriend, wife, whatever she is, and them trying to build back things together and prepare everyone for what's coming. But no, the portal opens again, it's all fine, and they go back through, and then they have this thing where at the end of the movie, Scott starts to be afraid and wonder if he did the right thing, because he remembers Kang saying that there are others that are coming at her, the others that exiled me, other me's that are coming. And Scott's like, did I do the right thing? And then he kind of like, nah, I'm okay. And then they show the end credit scene, one of them, because there's two, where all the Kangs are freaking coming together and screaming, and they're like, we're going to stop those people because they took down one of us. And then we get the Loki post-credit, and all of that is great. All of that is whatever. But now Kang no longer feels dangerous to me. Kang is just some throwaway villain, apparently, because they were able to beat him so easily. They play him up as this larger-than-life person. He's a conqueror. And he even said so himself in the movie. He's like, you just talk to ants, which was a very cringy dialogue moment. Ugh. But my point, every time he plays up a big speech like that, you're expecting him to do something out of this world. Like, really, like, kill someone. Someone's gonna die. People get smacked around, and they're okay. And I'm like, okay, this is great. But nothing happens. They just defeat him anyway. Everything that was behind, all the strength and power that was behind his voice just meant nothing. No stakes. I don't know what happened with Marvel movies. It kind of feels like what happened with the Jurassic Park movies, where now the most fearsome thing of the entire franchise, which are the raptors, are now these things that are like puppy dogs that you can be friends with, and they'll never hurt you or whatever. And if they do have iterations of them, they are having a hard time keeping up with a motorcycle. But no, they are able to keep up with a motorcycle, but yet can't catch a woman who is all of a sudden parkour freaking expert and jumping from rooftops, but they can't catch her. Like, it's just, can we stop? Can we stop doing that? It's so annoying. And then the other thing I did not appreciate, they had some poignant moments, and the one with Darren, who honestly I forgot about because it's been a while since I watched the first two movies. So I forgot he even existed, but they try to do like a short recap of him, which is something they should do for the TV shows. But anyway, he has a redeemable arc, which I thought was really sweet. And when he came in, he's like, I am Darren and something another, and he helps save them. He's dying, and he says, I've always seen you as a brother, and Ant-Man's like, you did? And his whole death is supposed to be funny, and I didn't find it funny. I don't know why they chose that. It seemed very inappropriate and tasteless. It's like, everything's funny. Look at this guy who was broken, and he redeemed himself to become a hero. And where Ant-Man as a hero should have been like, yeah, man, yeah, buddy, you know, be sad for him. He's like, oh, well, what happened today? And everyone's just making these faces as this guy is coughing up his freaking fluids from dying, from saving them and the entire realm, by the way. Yeah, he was part of the bad part, but I feel like heroes shouldn't behave like that. It just made Ant-Man and his family look like complete assholes. Like, he was a lesser of a being. And yeah, you could technically say that, yeah, he was just a face. But what he did actually had some meaning behind it. He, in the end, did the right thing. And I don't know why now Marvel movies, outside of the ones that James Gunn made, have that. Why is comedy always a thing? The only time, like, I can remember where things were really serious was when Tony Stark died. And also in Guardians of the Galaxy, when Yondu died, like, whenever they're, like, Guardians of the Galaxy honestly has the best comedy for me in the Marvel movie sphere. And yet, when James Gunn directs those movies and there is a very poignant moment of Peter or somebody being sad, it hangs. It's believable. You can still have fun throughout the rest of the movie, but you don't have to be disrespectful to the characters if they're dying. Yondu said what he said, and it would have been very inappropriate if at that moment Peter Quill was like, you know, he was like, he may have been your daddy, but he wasn't your father, or something like that. And Peter was like, well, technically, you know, like, that is a really, really bad time to crack a joke when the audience are just starting to tear up. It makes it not feel real. It kills the immersion. And it makes it feel like this is just a useless story. It's theater. It's not real. The whole point of movies and why they call movies magic is so we can believe we're in the world at that moment. And for them to have acted like that with Darren's death was just really lowbrow. I don't know. It just, maybe it's a personal thing, but I noticed they've been doing that with a lot of Marvel movies. And it's like, dude, you don't have to be funny all the time. And by you trying to be funny all the time, you're not. It doesn't work. because it just doesn't. It's inappropriate and it's stupid. So they all get out. Somebody should have died, by the way. The whole family gets out. They're like, let's go home and all of that. And then we get the other post-credit stuff. And that part, I feel like they had a missed opportunity there, especially with Kang. Because now when I hear about Kang the Conqueror, I don't feel any fear. I just like, these people were able to defeat him. Why are we worried about those guys? You know, now we're gonna get more Kang the Conquerors. Oh, they're more dangerous because they exile that one. Right. I don't know. That part for me was really dumb. It was really, really stupid. They just wasted that villain. They played him up and then basically made it so easy to beat him. And can people stop making these characters have these powers and forget to use them? It's so uber annoying. So in everything, I think the movie was entertaining. I think there were some characters in there too that they kind of could have done more with. Like there was this girl character who has like this man body, the one with the paint on her face, so cute, really hot character. And I was like, ooh, I want to see more of this character. They leave her in the jail cell and her friend dies and we don't even get to feel anything really because they introduce these characters, but we leave them. So for more than half the movie, they're gone and then we're supposed to feel something when they get killed. Like, I don't know. I think I expected a little bit more. The movie had great potential and it was entertaining, but I feel like this is gonna be one of the movies that's kind of forgettable for me because it didn't have stakes. Had Ant-Man died or people thought he was dead or something else, or Kang actually felt like maybe he escapes, like, I don't know, something like that, it would have felt more indelible in my mind and that I would have walked away feeling like, wow, that was a freaking movie. Not, hey, this was a freaking slapstick comedy. I'm gonna walk away and this is gonna blur in the lines of my mind along with all the other Marvel movies that they've been making that I never remember. That was just my honest opinion. If you asked me, hey, would you buy this? No, I wouldn't buy it. But if you ask me, hey, if this came out in theaters again, would you go see it? Hell no. Especially someone who hasn't seen the movie before to see it in theaters. I mean, okay, that's not fair. If you want entertainment and a visual spectacle, definitely go see this movie. This movie was amazing. But it will annoy you if you're not someone like my father who eats anything Marvel. Anything superhero related, it doesn't have to make sense. He'll just swallow it up. Oh, it's a great movie. Captain Marvel was a great movie. Everything was great to him because it's Marvel. So if you're one of those types of people, then you will love this movie. I liked it and I enjoyed my time, but I am a little bit disappointed. That's just my honest opinion. It's not even for me one of those things where I could just turn off my brain and watch, because for me to be immersed in a world, my brain has to be working to make me believe that it's real. I'm thinking about all the different things. Look at that monster. I wonder what it eats. And oh, Kang used his freaking finger crushy thing. Well, he's gonna use his finger crushy thing again and really show us what he's made of because he was only using like 0.001% of his power. Oh, he never uses it again, even though he has a pretty good reason to use it now. Like, oh, okay, that... it's just one of those things. But anyway, I had a good time, but Marvel is running into that really eerie place where they take their biggest villains and then just make them socks. That's the best way I can describe it. What does that mean? Take from it what you will. They're just socks. That's all that comes into my mind. Not boots, just socks, raw socks. It really is annoying and it's frustrating, and it's making me feel like I would look more forward to something like The Boys or Invincible, because it's the only thing we have to compare around this time. Invincible, you can feel like there's stakes involved, because you can feel like there's stakes involved. When they say that someone's powerful, you see how powerful they are. You still see the superheroes fighting, but then when the villain actually fights, you're like, holy shit, this is a problem. And you believe that it is a problem. Invincible did that impeccably. And Marvel is starting to lose that. I don't know if they even really had it because they were just throwaway villains, but if you're making a big villain above all the other villains, it has to be more than just a movie where you could just, let's just do this. They're not even the strongest Avengers. Like, it's so weird. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.